The Elephant Letters, or the Story of Billy and Kani by Gay Bradshaw. Chapter 1. The Brown Parcel. One summer, when the moon spread her silver blanket over the African plain and the stars glittered in the velvet sky, there stood an old elephant under the giant fig tree. His body was wrinkled and gray, and his eyes deep and wise. His tusks shone white and were so long that they nearly touched the ground. He was Mkhulu, the Zulu word for grandfather. Young elephants gathered around his feet. Their little trunks waved in excitement as they pushed and pulled each other, trying to get closer to the old bull. "Grandfather, grandfather," they trumpeted, "please open the package. Please open the package so we can see what is inside." There, next to the tip of the old bull's long trunk, lay a small mysterious parcel. It was covered in brown paper with many stamps from places far away and tied with knotted twine. But the old bull would not answer the young elephants. He remained silent and unmoving. "Is that a tear?" the young elephants wondered in the corner of Mkhulu's eye. What was it that made the big strong elephant so quiet and sad? Despite the young elephant's pleas, the old bull did not speak. Instead, he turned away and with his heavy trunk swaying, walked slowly toward the forest edge. The young elephants soon became silent themselves. They stopped trumpeting and watched the old bull as he melted into the trees and disappeared from sight. Their heads and little trunks hung low in disappointment. Finally, after making sure that Mkhulu was not going to return, the band of young elephants left the fig tree and walked away to find a place to sleep for the night. The next day the sun shone high in the sky, but Mkhulu had not returned. The young elephants were afraid. There were hunters and soldiers who stalked the hills in search of elephants like the old bull, whose magnificent tusks were prized for their ivory. The young elephants' faces creased with worry. The next day there was still no sign of the old bull. The young elephants became even more uneasy. Anxiously they went to find sweet roots and leaves and drink trunkfuls of water at the river. The day passed slowly. The sky was empty, its solid bright blue only broken by the arc of eagles flying high above. Later, as the sun began his travel down to the earth's horizon, the young elephants prepared for night. Before going to bed, they went back to the giant fig tree, hoping to find Mkhulu. The young elephants walked in single file, each holding the tail of the elephant in front. They felt very sad. Suddenly, as they reached the top of the small hill where the giant fig tree stood, they saw Mkhulu. The old bull was back. The young elephants ran toward him, trumpeting, "Mkhulu, Mkhulu! Grandfather, grandfather, you are back!" The old bull smiled, his dark eyes crinkling with affection. He waved his big, strong trunk, and in his deep, warm voice called them to gather round. The young elephants quickly obeyed. They trotted over to sit in a circle under the fig tree at the old bull's feet. Quietly, they waited. Mkhulu loomed like a silent gray mountain. The only sounds to be heard were the cicadas singing and the roar of lions in the distance. After a few minutes, the old elephant raised his heavy head. Slowly making his way around the circle, he looked into the eyes of each young elephant until he came to the youngest, a baby no more than 2 years old, sitting by his side. Only then did the old bull bring out the mysterious parcel. Gently he laid it on the ground, and using the delicate tip of his trunk, pulled on the string. The brown paper fell away. The young elephants whispered to each other excitedly and pushed forward to see what was inside. The old elephant held up his trunk and spoke. "Young ones, the time has come for you to help lead our people. So many of the bulls and matriarchs are gone, killed for their ivory and for trophies, that the younger elephants must take their place. Some of you are still very young and need to stay with your mothers and aunties, but others are of an age where they can step forward to join the adult elephants. The elders and I will teach you as much as we can about our ancient elephant ways. You must also learn how to heal the human unhappiness that has brought such pain and grief. Elephants cannot live in peace and dignity until humans go back to the old ways. They must become kind and respectful again. There was once a time when humans and other animals lived in harmony. We shared the land and cared for each other's families. Everyone had plenty of food and water. Today, things are different. Humans have grown mean and angry. They take things that were never theirs, leaving other animals with nothing to eat and nowhere to live. Our proud and mighty people must hide from guns. They must walk the forest in the dead of night so as not to be seen. Our children are afraid. Tonight, however, you may sit under the moonlit skies without fear. I will tell you the story of two brave elephants, Amenti and Kani. May they show you the way to rebuild our great elephant civilization that once stretched its mighty trunk from sea to sea. The old bull stopped speaking and gazed around the circle. He looked into the eyes of each young elephant. They had grown serious. Some of the older elephants reached out to hold the trunks of the babies who looked frightened. They fixed their eyes on the old bull and watched as he uncurled his trunk to lift off the brown parcel lid. There inside were 2 stacks of envelopes, some white, some yellowed, others brown and smudged with dirt. The envelopes looked old, almost as old as Umkhulu himself. After a few minutes, the old bull picked up the first envelope that lay on top of the pile and pulled out a letter. Pushing the folded paper flat with his trunk, he took a deep breath and began to read.